Welcome to Crojo Corner. Today you're going to learn how to make a basic beanie on a circular knitting machine. Welcome to Crojo Corner. Today you're going to learn how to make a basic beanie on a circular knitting machine. The items that you will need for this project are, of course, a circular knitting machine, a skein of yarn. This is Big Twist yarn from Joann's in slate blue, a loom pick, a clip, which I got this from the Dollar Tree, a pair of scissors, and a tapestry needle. Let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is close our yarn guide and make sure that we turn to where the first black needle is sticking up. We're going to put some yarn in the middle so we have enough to work with when we cinch up our end. You're going to wrap it around the black needle and crank it down. Then you go behind the second needle, the second black one, and then in front of the next needle. If you don't have an Addi machine, then you just start with the first needle of your machine. Once you get your 3 needles loaded, I like to take a clip from the Dollar Tree or a binder clip or something and just put it on the piece of yarn like this just to hold it down so it stays nice and tight. Then you're going to take your yarn and go behind the next one and in front of the next one and just alternate behind and in front of every other needle, just like this, and cast on. Go all the way around doing the same thing, making sure that the teeth of the needle grab the yarn and it goes between the 2 red pegs beneath. It's very simple. Just make sure you go slow. Now when you get right before the next or the first black needle, you will open up your yarn guide, pop your yarn in there like that, and then close the door. Now is when you will set your counter to 0, and we're going to do 110 rows for a beanie without a brim. Now if you'd like a brim, 130 rows works well, but you kind of have to play around with your yarns. Some yarns have more stretch than others, so sometimes you need less rows or more rows, and it also depends on the head size of the person that you're going to make the hat for. But a general rule, a beanie without a brim is around 110 rows. So now you're just going to slowly crank and keep your eyes peeled that you don't have any yarn splitting or any stitches coming off. Usually when you crank around the very first time, it's loud, but that's normal. And then once you get around the first time, it quiets down and it goes smooth. Now you want to make sure that you keep your tension nice and even throughout the entire project, holding it with your hands. And I also like to use Thread Magic. It's a sewing machine item, but it works really well with yarn. You can find it at Joann's and online, and it's kind of like a little silly putty consistency. So I take it out of the container and I pop it right on the front of my counter, and I run my yarn kind of over it to eliminate any static, and it helps with skip stitches. We'll continue around for 110 rows, and I will meet you back when we are done. You may find that you might need to use a loom pick if you have any yarn that splits on your project. I do have a video about that and how to use this tool, and I will link that in the description box, and I will link it also above. When your project starts to get long, it's a good idea to take it and roll it up and let it rest above itself like that. So that way the weight of it kind of pulls it around, and then you won't have to worry about any drop stitches. Now we're going to keep continuing to crank until we reach 110 rows. When you reach your 109th row on your counter, you're going to keep your eye on the numbers of the hooks as you go slowly around, and look for for the 46th pin, it's the last white needle here. So as this white needle comes down, the black one will be up, and that is when you're going to cast off, because you'll be at 110 rows. The next thing is to cut yarn that's long enough to go all the way around your machine when you're casting off. So just cut that yarn, and then take your yarn needle. Addi's have them in the little needle holder right here, or you can use any other kind of yarn needle. And I tie mine on twice because sometimes it comes loose. Then you're going to open up the yarn guide, take the yarn out, and then you're going to slowly crank it until the black needle goes down. You take your red yarn needle, or whatever yarn needle you have, and pick up that stitch and go all the way through. Slowly repeat that again, turning, letting the needle go down so that the stitch comes loose, and then pick it up with your needle. Now, a lot of people like to do a few at once. You grab this one, and then you'll grab that one. And you can do more than that, but I really find this to be a meditative process, so I prefer to do it one stitch at a time. But once you get experience, you can do more than one at a time. Just depends on how you feel and how fast you want to go. I don't mind taking my time and just slowly going through and picking up each stitch. So you're just going to do that process all the way around. And then I'll meet you back at the end. Okay, now we're at the last white needle. We're going to take it off. And then we can pull our work out of the middle of the machine. Now that you have your tube, make sure you give it really good stretches. And that will help your stitches even out. Now you will take the end that you just cast it off with and cinch it closed. Just pull that yarn. Now you'll see that it will curl up on itself, so you just take your fingers, roll it back down into itself, nice and tight, like that, just snug. You're gonna take your other hand, kind of go up underneath the hat, and then I like to make a few stitches just to close the hole. So go across, down inside of the hat, and then take your needle and go back up inside and go across the other way. So you're kind of making like an X. And then go back down. Then you will take your hand and bring that up inside of the hat. So you're making a double layer. It's nice and toasty warm. Now this right here will be the part that goes around your face, and this will be the top. Then you're going to find your string that you cast it on with and cinch that up as well. Nice and tight. Now you don't want to break the yarn, so don't pull too hard. So at this time, I like to take my scissors and I cut about 5 inches. Then I will do 3 knots on the top. 1, 2, 3. Then I make these even. And I grab my tapestry needle, or you can use the red needle that comes with the Addi. Stick your hand in. You're going to put this needle in between both layers to hide the tail. Stick it through, pull it, then you're going to cut it, and voila, there you go. There's your hat, and you can use it without a brim, or if you make it a little bit longer, or if their head is smaller, you can also fold it up and make a brimmed hat. So there you go, nice and easy. Thanks for watching, I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to answer them. And I will see you next time on Crojo Corner.